All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to No Final Bell. Um, of course, for this last episode, thank you for the continued support. Um, you know, did better than we have as of late, so I do appreciate everybody that has taken the time out of watching our content. And as always, we will talk about Dynamite and Rampage as well as Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah, against all odds.
last Friday we had Against All Odds, and going to be talking about the countdown as well as the main show. So the countdown started with a nice surprise with Nevaeh coming back. We haven't seen Nevaeh since like 2021. They said on commentary 2 years ago when she was paired with the then Jessica Havoc. So, which obviously we know now that it is she is going by Jessica, not Havoc. So, but she was in a match against Kylan King. Unfortunately, did not beat Kylan King. But overall, it was nice to see Nevaeh back. uh, we had a digital media championship match between Joe Hendry and Dirty Dango. And as you kind of expected, Joe Hendry did beat Dirty Dango to retain. We started off the main show with a battle of I don't know what to really call this, and I don't really know like too much of the story behind it. I think it was just like a measure of like trying to gain respect or something like that. But either way, Frankie Kazarian took on Eddie Edwards and beat Eddie Edwards. Um, the Impact Tag Team titles were on the line as ABC took on the Good Hands of Jason Hotch and John Schuyler with Brian Myers in their corner. ABC beat the Good Hands to retain. So next we had what is quite possibly one of the more anticipated, highly anticipated matches for Against All Odds. We had a dog collar match. I love to see a dog collar match. But this time, there were no, uh, it wasn't the uh, men's wrestlers of Impact Wrestling. No, it was between two knockouts. Masha Slamovich took on Killer Kelly in a dog collar match, and there were quite a bit of like not entirely brutal spots, but like for what the match was, and with it being a knockout dog collar match, it was actually pretty good. I will say that. But ultimately, in the end, Masha Slamovich did beat Killer Kelly in said dog collar match. And interestingly enough, I don't have this written down, but Masha kind of gave Killer Kelly a sign of respect. So maybe that dynamic is like, and maybe that rivalry is like over now. So maybe we're at the point where they might start teaming up. I'm not too sure. But next up, the X Division title was on the line in a rematch. So Trey Miguel once again took on Chris Sabin, and Chris Sabin was going once again to try to become a 9-time X Division champion, set that record, break that record that he had previously set of an 8-time, now going for 9-time. Ladies and gentlemen, our first of two title changes, and I will get to the second title change. But the first of two title changes, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Sabin has made history. Chris Sabin is now a 9-time X Division champion. He beat Trey Miguel. Um, so this next match, I don't really want to break it down in terms of like the whole match, but basically the 841 was like the team of Nick Aldis, Bully Ray, Heath, and Jonathan Gresham. They got the win in the 8-man tag. Then it turned into that 4-way. I don't have this written down, but the one takeaway from the match was the fact that Scott D'Amore came back after being put through a flaming table, and Bully Ray was antagonizing him still, like, because basically Bully Ray had a chair in his hand, in his hands, or whatever, and was ready to use it. Scott D'Amore took it out of his hands, and then Bully Ray was like, "You won't do it. He won't hit me because he doesn't have the balls to do it." But the second Bully Ray turned his back on Scott D'Amore pulled the old Seth Rollins, the old Sami Zayn to Roman Reigns. He whacked Bully Ray right across the back with the chair, gave Bully Ray one of a good old middle finger, told him "F you," and then Heath hit a wake up call on the chair to Bully Ray. But ultimately, in the end, Nick Aldis was the one who picked up the victory in the 841 match, earning a number one contender spot to challenge the Impact World Champion at Slammiversary. So we now know who Nick Aldis' opponent will be at Slammiversary. But before we get there, we had a tag team match between Slammiversary opponents taking on Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans. And the Slammiversary opponents that I am talking about are Deonna Purrazzo and Trinity. They are competing at Slammiversary for the Knockouts World Championship. But before we get to Slammiversary, we had Against All Odds. They teamed up. They beat Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans. But then after the match, Shaw and Evans beat down Deonna until Trinity makes the save. Um, the co-main event, or I guess I should, yeah, the co-main event. Um, the much anticipated, I guess you could say, return to Impact Wrestling of OVE, Ohio versus Everything. Madman Fulton, Jake Crist, Sami Callihan taking on the Design in an Ohio street fight. Um, that's another thing. Excuse me. There's another thing that I did want to mention from this match. Also, that pretty sick looking Crist cutter from Jake Crist. So Angels was going up to the top rope to hit Sami Callihan with a diving attack, but gets stopped midair by Jake Crist, who nails him with a cutter. If you can find the clip on YouTube, I highly recommend you check it out because I don't think we've seen anything quite like that anywhere. Like, because not for nothing, I'm pretty sure Randy Orton can't hit a cutter quite like that, or an RKO, I should say, with his back issues and his shoulder being the way that it is. Um, but yeah, so ultimately, though, OBE was able to beat the Design in that Ohio street fight. Now we get to the main event. Much anticipated. Alex Shelley versus Steve Macklin, the rematch. can Alex Shelley do it this time? Because last time he took on Josh Alexander, but this time he's taking on Steve Macklin. He has a whole new challenge ahead of him in Steve Macklin. But ultimately, when he faced Josh Alexander, he was just this close, that close to beating Josh Alexander for the world championship and becoming a first time ever winning the world championship for the first time in his career. But in that match against Josh Alexander, he just came up short. But this time against Steve Macklin, can he do it? Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to report that yes, Alex Shelley was able to dethrone Steve Macklin. He finally won the big one. And with that, the Motor City Machine Guns are on top of the Impact Wrestling world. Chris Sabin, your X Division champion. Alex Shelley, your Impact World champion. But quite frankly, something tells me that something tells me, man, Alex Shelley better count his days because, quite frankly, with Chris Sabin being the X Division champion, he does have option C. And who's to say that Alex Shelley may or may not get stabbed in the back by his own tag team partner who will invoke option C. But that's just my opinion. So that is Impact Against All Odds. Now let's get into some AEW talk.
Yeah, Dynamite starts off with Orange Cassidy and Strickland in a very back and forth contest. You didn't know who was gonna win this match between each other at first. Near fall after near fall, bout after bout. I mean, these two men literally beat the living crap out of each other. It was a good match, to start off Dynamite for an international championship. But ultimately, you thought maybe Strickland was going to be. Well, originally, Strickland was going to try to hold the tights for Orange Cassidy, but then Orange Cassidy held Strickland's pants and got the victory. And then afterwards, the Mogul Embassy beat Orange Cassidy down after the match. Now, lights go dark. Like, what's going on here? To turn on, Mogul Embassy is on the stage and out. And then Sting and Darby are in the ring with Orange Cassidy. What does this all mean?
I think we can expect a
We got
six-man tag
ourselves a
team
tag
match.
team
Yeah.
match, playa. Either for Collision or for Forbidden Door in Toronto. Who really knows? Maybe even for Dynamite or Rampage this week. I don't know what it's going to entail for Rampage this week. I would assume it's going to be the last time that Rampage is going to be showcasing the current wrestlers, as Collision is going to be
Yeah,
kind of take.
Collision is pretty much now. Collision is basically going to be what Rampage is currently, and then Rampage is
Just add
just gonna
another
be.
hour to it. That's the only
Well,
difference.
Rampage is basically going to be the new AEW Dark and Dark Elevation.
Which honestly,
It's gonna start showcasing like
I'm not
new up and coming talent.
mad about that. But what it means is I think you're gonna get a 6-man tag team match. Um, who knows? Um, yeah. So we got on to our next little business. We have a couple matches that we did talk about.
Yeah,
Um,
they
but
elaborated on it more.
yeah, Bryan Danielson will face Kazuchika Okada at Forbidden Door there.
Yes, I cannot wait for that match.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great match.
And we're gonna
Definitely main
see it
event,
live.
definitely main event quality type of match
If
here,
it's not the main event, I'm eager to see what will be.
right? Um,
Because I mean, Forbidden Door is literally like not right directly around the corner, but it's right around the
as
corner.
much as I would love to give Danielson the win here, I gotta go with Okada.
Yeah, I happen to agree with that because I mean Okada is literally on like the run of his freaking career. I mean, to be fair, he's not the IWGP champion, but at least like with the resume that he has, like he's easily among like the top names in New Japan.
Right.
So,
We got into our next match as the Blackpool Combat Club face off against Chaos.
oh
And let
yeah,
me
yeah.
elaborate here. Chaos is the trio that is in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's Okada's group,
But technically,
but
they never.
It's Rocky Romero, Chuck Taylor, and Trent
Yeah.
Beretta's.
So, but with that, see, technically, the best friends never left the group. So that's how that whole thing is able to, like, you know,
Right.
technically they never left the
I will
group. So
say,
that's how. But
you maybe would have thought that at first if you were watching this match that maybe somehow Chaos has the Blackpool Combat Club's number because they really took it to them this during the match. And Danielson even stated on commentary himself, I'm not even mad. This is what you gotta do. You gotta bring it right to us. And then that's exactly what happened towards the beginning of the match. Is that Chaos really took it to BCC, and BCC looked like they had their backs against the wall. But no, Blackpool Combat Club come back and fight even harder, beating up on Chaos, um, beating down Rocky Romero, Chuck Taylor, and Trent Beretta. But ultimately, the BCC do beat Chaos, and then afterwards, looks like they're beating down Chuck Taylor. Is that a message to Okada? I would think they're sending a message to Okada that, you can send your best men against us, but we're gonna keep on, taking them down inch by inch.
well, here's the thing with that too is I don't know what the whole like we might it might not be the same kind of build to Forbidden Door this time around like we had last year where you start to see like stars of New Japan regularly showing up on Dynamite, but who knows? Maybe we get an answer from Okada. Maybe he comes down and starts like cutting a promo or whatever on Danielson or you know like there's a laundry list of things you could do to build towards that show.
Right.
So
Who knows what's gonna happen later tonight? Um, but what we do know is that's gonna happen later tonight is the Elite throwing out the challenge to the BCC, and it's been made official that the Hung Bucks, is what they say, of
yep,
Adam Hangman Page and the Young
Hangman
Bucks
and the
going
Young
up
Bucks.
against John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta. Um,
Yeah, notice how Danielson never takes on those matches.
it's almost like they're kind of just saving him for the pay-per-views, and that's not terribly wrong. There's nothing
I
wrong with
mean,
that.
like not for nothing, Danielson himself said that he's kind of gonna start transitioning out of like a full time performer and gonna start being more of like a part time guy. So like while it is a little sad, it kind of makes sense because ultimately he's got to preserve his career, especially if he wants to end it on his no, on his terms.
Right.
Since the last, I'll say two times, I guess you could say two times, um, or was it really one time.
You know what? Honestly,
No, it was one time because the last time he wasn't quite able to like end his career on his
I
terms.
will say this now, and I get it. They have Blood and Guts as a separate entity for from All In, but why don't you bring the Blood and Guts match moniker to um All
To
In?
London.
Yeah, and have BCC and the Elite and stuff like that because um you could always have Adam Cole somehow joining up with the Elite and going up against the Blackpool Combat Club at All In. I'm hoping that's what's going to be the case because clearly this rivalry between the Elite and BCC are not finished, and it's not going to end at Forbidden Door. So I would think that it would keep on going on until Blood and Guts, and that ultimately will be like the last way to end a feud, unless you're going to have a way to, you know, can't really have any. You really can't have Stadium Stampede because
Yeah, not really. I
But
mean,
ultimately, I would think that this rivalry between the Elite and the BCC is not going to end after this or at Forbidden Door. So, um, as far as the six-man tag team match goes, sorry, Elite, I think the BCC got your number and they're going to be able to win this match here
yeah.
later tonight.
Sorry, Hung Bucks, but Blackpool Combat Club is basically taken over Dynamite.
Right.
So
um. So yeah,
this match, I'm also
originally it
looking
was,
forward to.
scheduled that it was just going to be them and no title defended, but no, Kenny Omega is currently the IWGP US champion and will put the title on the line against Will
How?
Ospreay.
Well, wait. Let's backtrack a little bit. How did you think that it wasn't for the title? They announced that tournament like long time ago.
I don't know, because like when it was originally announced, it didn't say anything about the IWGP World, the US title being on the line at all. It just said
Well,
that they
no,
were going to face
cause
off against each other, and then it was more so recently that they announced that it was going to be for the IWGP World US title.
maybe they announced it recently for the title, but it was always going to be for the title. Cause like I said, there was that tournament. Cause like what it was like Lance Archer was going to take on somebody, and I think who was it? Osprey was going to take on somebody, and then the winner of those two matches were going to face each other. And I think it ultimately ended up being coming down to Osprey and Archer, and Osprey beat Archer, which you figured that was gonna like as soon as they announced that tournament, you were like, oh, it gotta be Osprey, right? And sure enough, Osprey won that whole tournament, and now he's going on to Forbidden Door to challenge Omega. So, but
I
yeah,
mean,
I
it's
mean, either way, like I said, I can't wait for this. Like, I just can't wait for Forbidden Door in general.
yeah,
It's gonna be a
I
great
it
show.
will be. I think Will Ospreay is gonna take back the IWGP US title here at Forbidden Door.
I mean, not for
Honestly,
nothing, the man's legacy in New Japan speaks for itself. Just the man's legacy in general, like not just in New Japan, but pretty much everywhere that he's wrestled speaks for itself. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure the man at one point wrestled in Progress. I mean, he's definitely been around a lot of the British indies, and
right.
especially like that whole British wrestling scene before signing to New Japan, or maybe even during the time that he was in. Because I know uh, during his time in New Japan, like he was also at one point the Rev Pro heavyweight champion, which Rev Pro is a UK based promotion, and he was defending the Rev Pro title in Japan. And I remember at one point, Tomohiro Ishii was the Rev Pro champion, so they were like they were often changing hands that title. So it wasn't just, and I think Zack Saber Jr. at one point had that title. So while in New Japan, so it's like even though it was another promotion's belt, it was still like being defended and changing hands. But
Right.
oh,
We
this
get on to
segment.
this long segment here.
Well, you know it's MJF. He always requests 30 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like that. Um, yeah, so MJF comes out and says that Colorado sucks. Says if anyone knows about being bored, it's MJF because there's no competition for him in AEW. Says no one is on the level of the devil. And out comes Adam Cole, and then MJF cuts Adam Cole off when he says Adam Cole, baby. And the fans start booing, but they kind of already were. Um, MJF isn't mad, he's actually happy because Adam Cole is finally worthy competition for the champ. Says he's a big fan of Adam Cole. MJF says when he saw Adam Cole in ROH, he was instantly hooked, started training as a pro wrestler, and got his hands on as much tape of Adam Cole as he could get his hands on. Started following in Adam Cole's footsteps after seeing everything he did in the Indies before getting to the WWE. MJF asks what happened to Adam Cole. Says he used to
Talking
be
about his physique.
the Panama Playboy. Now he's just a Panama Game Boy. Says he stays at home on the computer while Britt Baker leaves the house with his balls firmly in her purse. Which didn't kind of make it sit well with Adam Cole. We'll talk a little bit more about that soon. Asks, didn't he used to have the physique of a world champion? Says now he's so frail he makes crack whores jealous, which that's funny. MJF says that AEW has done everything to make him cool: the lights, the music, the cool T-shirts, the big match opportunities, the girl, and on a reality show. You know what they do to make MJF cool? They ring the frickin' bell. A dig at what Adam Cole said in NXT.
To Karrion Kross. Yeah, because he looked right at Karrion Kross. He's like, they do everything in their power to make you feel special. You got the lights, you got the cool gear, the cool entrance, you got the lights, the girl. You know what they do to make Adam Cole feel special? They ring the freaking bell.
And it says he has had better accomplishments than Adam Cole. MJF read a rumor that the reason he jumped to AEW is because people in Titan Tower said he didn't have top guy potential, which is, a shoot.
I mean, but we'll talk about the
Yeah, that individual's name is Vince McMahon. Yes, he name dropped Vince on AEW. Oh, oh my God! I don't think you're supposed to do that. Well, it's MJF. He doesn't give a fuck.
well, not to mention, I'm pretty sure at one point even Don Callis name dropped Vince McMahon. So
MJF says that old guy has finally lost his marbles because how do you not see top guy in Adam Cole? MJF, after seeing him eye to eye in his ring, says Vince was right. Adam Cole then picks the microphone and does the doom, 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 doom. Kind of
testing to
like
see if
the,
it's
is this
on.
on? Adam Cole asks, is this the best you've got? Says MJF is coming across like a toxic social media troll. He's like, you're real world class, Max. You're a world class douchebag. Says he brings up his body because of his body of work. Says that MJF can't touch him because of his past. And then Adam Cole says, let's go in the back And let's piss in a couple of cups and see who's natural and who's not. MJF didn't look like he was very proud about that one at all. Says, "Oh, you don't want to do that? Oh, yeah, I thought so." And Cole says they are nothing alike because after traveling the world for 15 years and sharing a locker room, the people in the back respected him. Says that there's not a single person in the back that respects MJF. Says he does the bare minimum to collect a paycheck and hang on to the championship, which is very true. I think he does the bare minimum.
Yeah.
When your best work is going out there and talking crap about somebody in a promo, and then have them going through rigorous matches before you can get your hands on him. Yeah, I would think so. Um, and GS says that's a whole lot of tough talk coming from Keith Lee's manager, which that's really what WWE wanted him to do on the main roster
Well,
is be Keith Lee's manager before he left.
again, keep going because
Adam Cole says there it is. You have to create a false narrative to hide from the fact that he is a coward of a champion.
yeah. So that's why I was saving like my. It's a false narrative. There's no truth to that uh whole thing about like they wanted to make Adam Cole Keith Lee's manager or anything like that. So it's
Um,
basically dirt sheets creating
yeah,
creating a clickbait like article or.
media is not it's not a great thing at all. It really is not.
Well, I mean, like I look at it this way. I know dirt sheets need their articles and everything, but like, why do you have to resort to clickbait
um,
very
Adam Cole
often?
says that if he was a real champion, he would tell him to shut his mouth and fight him, but he isn't doing that because he is a coward. Adam Cole says that MJF won't fight him because he's better than him, and the crowd knows it. Turns his back, and his MJF says, "Don't turn your back on me," and that he will wrestle Adam. I will wrestle you any day of the week, and will beat your ass. And Cole says, "That a boy, champ. Looks like we got ourselves a match." And then goes, "Adam Cole, baby." Well, it's official, ladies and gentlemen. Later tonight, we are going to get the AEW World Championship Eliminator match between Adam Cole and MJF. And let me tell you something. Before we go on to anything next, um, wise, with the next thing on our notes, I will say this now. I'm going to make a prediction, and I'm actually maybe a spoiler. I think that Adam Cole is going to be your first winner of the Eliminator match and going to get a future title opportunity. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon that they're going to face off against each other. I say should leave that for All In. You should have him win and then leave that match for All In between those two. But ultimately, usually what it means by the Eliminator is that the next week you would face off for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. So, or maybe at Forbidden Door. Honestly, who wouldn't want to see Adam Cole beat the living crap out of MJF and probably lose? But hey, you know, still something.
Mm, I don't know. I mean, I look at it this way. MJF has had a lengthy reign
Yeah, it was
as
like
world champion.
200 days or something like that. I think
I
he's.
think more than that, but either way, he's had a decent reign. I think it's about time. I mean, granted, I would like it to be Eddie Kingston, but at the same time, he's still recovering from hernia. Well, actually, no, he's not, because
Was he full?
forget.
He's fully healthy, isn't he?
Well, I was just about to get to that. He has been announced for the G1. Now, I don't know exactly when the G1 starts, but I do know that he has been announced for the G1 climax.
So he can show
So
up at
he's
Forbidden Door,
absolutely healthy.
right?
But I mean, I don't know necessarily about that. Like he might be able to show up at Forbidden Door, but like I said, I don't know about that. And even then, um, it doesn't make a lot of sense with the story that he's in right now, especially after he said I quit AEW and ultimately went to Ring of Honor. So, like, but at the same time, I feel like it would be the kind of thing of like, okay, well, um, I have to do this. Like, I have to become AEW World Champ, or like, I have to become World Champion, whether it's in Ring of Honor, whether it's in AEW.
Right.
That could be, but ultimately, I don't know what they end up doing with Eddie Kingston. But at this point, um, who's to say it's not Adam Cole that dethrones MJF for the
Right.
world
True.
title?
Um.
Either option, I'm okay with.
Yeah. Matt. Matt Hardy claims he can make Ethan Page a better human being. Um. Well, yeah, you're the owner of his contract, so I mean, probably. We'll talk about what happened on Rampage because I think it was hilarious. Um,
Oh, are you talking about what happened after the cameras went off the air?
no, during the match when
Oh, okay,
they gave him the things to pull down and it's the Jeff Hardy things, and then he got rolled up for the loss. Yeah, that was
okay.
hilarious. But no,
But I
Jungle.
do know what happened after Rampage went off the air. It was kind of funny, actually.
So yeah, Jungle Hook faces off against LFI's Jalistico and Preston Vance in a brutal Texas Tornado tag match. Preston Vance had a very nasty gash on the side of his head.
Mm.
He was bleeding like profusely bad.
Do we know if it was hard way or
I'm pretty sure it
blade
was
job?
hard way with the chain itself because chain got involved in that match, and I didn't really see what happened with it, but all I know is like I was looking up and like I was like, how the hell did he like? It was just here side of his face and like gushing blood
Hmm.
on his body, and I was like, that could have very well been hard way because it looked like a pretty nasty cut on the side of his head there.
Okay, if you're saying it was a cut like that on the side of his, then yeah, that's more than likely hard way
Um,
busted open.
but yeah, there was a couple tables that were involved in it. I mean, going through that, it was a pretty damn brutal match. It went a little fast. Don't get me wrong. Um, but tell you what, it was a very brutal match, and ultimately
Well,
Jungle Hook
yeah.
did beat Juralistico and Preston Vance in that match.
Well, I just look at it this way. You said it went pretty fast. You you also got to take into account they have to make up TV time.
I get it, but
So I
still.
mean, but yeah, like I've noticed that a lot with the when watching Dynamite at times. It almost feels like uh, for certain matches they kind of like go way too fast with it because they have to make up television time. But I look at it this way: if you didn't give MJF like 30 minutes for a freaking promo, you would actually have television time.
I know. True. That promo did go on for a while. Um, so we have officially gotten our first. Well, we know who's going to be coming back for AEW
Yeah,
Collision. Now we know that he's also going to be in the main event of Collision. In
yeah,
this Saturday.
yes.
The very first main event match for AEW Collision will be a six-man tag team match between
Star-studded, man.
Switchblade Jay White, Rock
Yes,
Hard Juice
sir.
Robinson, and the um,
The Ring of Honor Television
Samoan
Champion.
Submission Machine Samoa Joe against 7-star FTR and the best in the world CM Punk.
Yes.
We knew
Bullet
that
Club
FTR
Gold
and
and
CM Punk
Samoa Joe
wanted to team up together, so
versus CMFTR.
yeah, we all knew that there was going to be a rumor that they were supposed to team up together. Well, now it's going to be happening at Collision.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Tell you what, that's a one hell of a main event.
It makes all the more sense too when you consider that CMFTR could potentially become Trios champions.
They could, which
I
fine,
can
but the
I can
problem is
already
FTR is your tag team champion, so
so they could be double champs.
it could, I guess. I
I
mean, it's
mean,
never
come
been
on
done
now.
before in
Pac did it.
AEW.
Pac did it.
Yeah, but not with
Not
the
with tag team
tag team
gold, I
and
know, but
trios tag team titles.
he was the at the time All Atlantic champion and the Trios
This is going
champion
to be an interesting
simultaneously.
match of how this is going to like lead into anything going forward past Forbidden Door because I still think that Juice Robinson and Jay White are gonna want those FTR's titles. So honestly, I can see this leading into something, and then I can also see it leading into Samoa Joe and CM Punk going into some kind of rivalry too. So honestly, I like the way that they're going with this
Do
first main event
we
match.
need to see CM Punk versus Samoa Joe in an AEW ring?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is future storytelling, and I like that it's the
Yeah,
first main event
yeah.
match because
There's
now
like multiple well, not multiple. There's like two different
now
stories that you can tell
see,
with that
what I
match.
would also like to talk about too is what are your predictions for Collision? I would love to see it being like another like Dynamite. Not exactly like Dynamite, but like
Like a show kind of like Dynamite
show
where it
kind of like
showcases a
Dynamite.
lot of yeah.
Showcases a lot of like
I
guys
mean,
you don't really see. Like
I think
Samoa
that's the direction they're going with it anyways,
um
but
personally I wouldn't say don't do anything like WWE and having another world title. Don't do that.
oh no.
But I do
No.
think that TNT title should be your like main title on that show
If not that title, maybe the international championship
or
would
something
be.
like that because
Either way, you need a mid card title for
either
that
way,
show
like
because you
I would
have two.
I
You
would
have
probably
to
push
have.
the television title more on so that channel. I mean, not saying that you really need it to
Oh, so
be,
like basically what you're saying is have the TNT title be
but ultimately I would love
Collision on TNT, and then have
right.
the TBS title fittingly be defended on Dynamite.
You're probably gonna see a lot of guys like Miro, like Thunder Rosa, like CM Punk, like
Yeah,
Samoa Joe being on that Collision show. Um, but don't forget about Dynamite as well. I don't want Collision to be like overpowering Dynamite in a way, and it's cool to have
yeah.
this in a sense. But like I don't want like Collision to be like that main focus, and somehow like you totally forget about Dynamite. And Dynamite's still gonna be good, and don't get me wrong, it is AEW's top show right now.
Yeah.
But I want AEW Collision to somehow compete with Dynamite in itself, and
Oh,
like
kind of like how Raw is to SmackDown, or I
yeah,
guess
in a
vice
way.
versa.
But like honestly, I
Well, you
like the
know,
way that they're going with Collision.
yeah,
I would assume that more matches are going to be announced later tonight
I'm
and
sure.
also on
Yeah.
Rampage
Well,
for Collision. That's
yeah.
going to be happening live on
Well,
Saturday.
it's funny you mentioned like the competition between because at one point that is exactly how like WWE viewed Raw and SmackDown is like, oh, they're supposed to like compete against each other to see like which show and which brand essentially is the better show.
I just don't want to see the same guys you would be seeing on Dynamite being on Collision. I want to see different people on Collision. Make it
Yeah,
different. Like you can have the same people on Collision, but like make it different every week, kind of like the Dynamite. Like you have so much talent that you could also be using on both brands. You know, like do I think that having like at least like 4 live hours on Wednesday and on Saturday going to be great for AEW? It could. I mean, it means that you're going to be utilizing a lot of the talent that you don't really hardly see on AEW Dynamite being used on Collision, which is going to be nice. So I'm hoping it's going to be good. Personally, what I would like to also see Tony Khan doing is now that Thunder Rosa is back, you at least have her go after the AEW Women's World Championship, the title that she never lost, had to relinquish due to injury. Because let me tell you something, Tony Storm is your champ. I think Thunder Rosa deserves to have that rematch and get her title back that she
yeah.
never lost.
Well, it's funny too because you never really had like that title unification match to determine like the undisputed champion.
Yeah, but in the
But I
sense
mean,
that you can't have
like,
that now
yeah,
because she relinquished the title and
I mean, I get it too because she was out for a really long time with the title, like basically holding it hostage and basically meaning that, like, oh yeah, hey, like, we recognize that Thunder Rosa is still the champion, but
even
like
if you
she's
want
been out
to
a really
announce it
long
for that
time.
United Center Collision. I think that would be an awesome match to have on there. Women's World Title match. Tony Storm versus Thunder Rosa. And why not, what better way to have Thunder Rosa beating Tony Storm for the title? I'm not saying that it would, be the best thing to have Tony Storm as a transitional champion, but it makes sense to have Thunder Rosa. Yeah, it kind of sucks because, Jamie Hayter's face and then Thunder Rosa would kind of be facing. They go up against each other, but who's to say that one of them can't turn heel? I guess. I don't know. Um, this next one, it was kind of like a quick match because, Kenoshi Tagashi was just facing off against a local jobber. Um, he beats David Ace, who was a local wrestler from Colorado Springs. And then Don Callis says everything the Elite has is because of him, and says Kenny Omega is a cancer in his body and will cut them out for good. Um, it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen. I think there's going to be a match between the Elite and some people from Japan at Forbidden Door.
Maybe.
But the problem is that Kenny Omega is also facing up against. So I don't know if it's gonna really be at Forbidden Door, or if it's gonna be after Forbidden Door with some kind of new faction that Don Callis is gonna, you know, be the leader of.
I mean, I can see one thing potentially happening if that was the route that they're going for Forbidden Door. And I am pretty sure I've mentioned it on the show before. The Golden Elite, Kenny, or not Kenny, Kota Ibushi and the Young Bucks taking on uh, Takeshita and like whoever.
That could happen. I mean, Young Bucks don't have a match at Forbidden Door if you think about it. So that could happen.
Or maybe what ends up happening is the Golden Elite versus the BCC.
That could happen too. That I feel like it would.
I feel like that's the more likely.
We'll see. I mean, who knows what could happen. Yeah. So, Luchasaurus, we all know everything that's going to be happening with him and Wardlow, but yeah, he beats down Brock Anderson. What does this mean? Well, what it
He's
means is
targeting.
that
He's making it personal.
making that personal that they're going to be
Targeting
facing
Orange Kid.
off against each other right before Wardlow puts the title on the line against Jake Hager later tonight. Um, that's what that means. Chris
Why is he putting
Statlander.
the title on the line against Hager? That's a weird
That's
matchup.
what it is. If when you watch Rampage, they talk about that he's gonna face off against Hager
Hmm.
later tonight for the title. So
Okay, I mean that's a weird matchup in my opinion,
so
but
yeah,
hey,
Chris Statlander puts her TBS championship on the line against Anna JS, and I mean, I guess it was all right, but Chris Statlander kind of just overpowers Anna JAS and retains. And then Taya Valkyrie just keeps on watching Mad. She is furious. She wants to go after Chris Statlander, the one that stole her title from her. Um, I'm ready to see the kind of rivalry between those two. I'm all for it. If it ultimately means that maybe eventually Taya Valkyrie can become a TBS champion, I would be all for it. Um,
I
not saying
mean
that I want Chris Statlander to lose it anytime soon, but to be honest with you, a match between those two I think would be a good one.
I've said it before on the show. Like it's too soon for Statlander to lose, but I do think that Taya deserves her moment. But and not for nothing, the best way to really protect both women in that situation, time limit draw.
Good.
So
So yeah, we got into our main event of Dynamite as Jay White faces off against Ricky Starks. But shockingly, the way that Jay White wins is that he gets a little help from the Guns.
why are they helping Jay White?
I have no idea. That's
Unless they want to join Bullet Club Gold.
that could be possible.
I mean, I look at it this way too. It would ultimately make sense because, guns, Bullet Club.
True. You never know. It could just happen. But yeah, Jay White gets the victory. Jay White, I think, deserves after if Adam Cole somehow wins against MJF and then loses the title match, I think Jay White, and I get it, he just came in, but I would think that he would have to be your next competitor for the AEW World Heavyweight title.
Jay White?
Oh yeah, I think that he is definitely the one that could possibly dethrone MJF for the world title. I don't know, honestly, I think he would make one hell of a fucking great world champion because look at what he did in
Look at what he
MJ.
did with the IWGP. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, if it's not Adam Cole, I'm sorry, I don't see it being him because truly, I get it. People are gonna say, "What has he truly done to be able to earn that title?" Well, if he beats MJF, then guess what? He beat MJF to get the title opportunity. That's what the whole point of the eliminator match is if the challenger beats the champion, they get an opportunity. It's usually how it goes, even in the WWE. Just saying.
ROH has the same thing with what they call a proving ground match.
But the thing is that fortunately, luck is not on the side of the challenger in the eliminator match. So we'll see if Adam Cole can be the one that changes the luck on that. But something tells me that probably not, which sucks. Hopefully, Adam Cole can beat MJF. But honestly, if it's not Adam Cole in itself that goes after the MJF, I would love it being Jay White because really you keep on thinking about it now. It's like who is really left next for MGF? There's not really a whole lot of people other than like Adam Cole, like a Jay White, like a Juice Robinson. There, I mean, it's kind of going thin right now, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
and it's sad to say that, but it's kind of getting to that point. Um, but yeah, we got into our first match of Rampage as the Lucha Brothers and Bandito face off against Ethan Page, Big Bill, and Lee Moriarty. Yes, if anybody's confused about this one, Matt Hardy allowed Ethan Page. This match actually was scheduled before Ethan Page left the firm to join up with Matt Hardy and, has his contract on. Matt Hardy allowed him to fulfill his contractual
Oh, I see what you're
obligations.
saying now.
Yes.
So it was basically
The
the match was
firm against
like the
Lucha
match was
Brothers against Band.
scheduled ahead of time, like before
Yeah,
Ethan Page's contract had been.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what they were
I
stating.
got I got you
Um,
now.
but what I find hilarious about this match is like Matt Hardy comes out, is like, "Hey, you know, do him." He's like, "Are you serious? I got," and then it's the whole like the things that Jeff Hardy
Yeah, yeah,
usually wears.
yeah.
Well, he pulls him down, and right when he does it, he gets rolled up 1, 2, 3, and the Lucha Brothers and Bandito
Uh,
win because of the distraction from Matt Hardy. And I bet you Matt Hardy's looking on us like, "Oh man, I got a lot of work to do to turn you into somebody good." Um, so yeah, that's basically what happened there. Um, Powerhouse Hobbs beats Caleb Crusher. There's not really much to say about that one. Powerhouse Hobbs is probably going to be another name that's going to be shown on Collision more than Dynamite, which honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, um, but yes, we already talked about this one, but we'll elaborate more. Wardlow will face off against Jake Hager later tonight for the TNT Championship. Thoughts? I'm not opposed to it because now you're getting more opportunities for the TNT Championship right
I
now,
mean,
which
yeah,
means
but
that
like just the thought of like Jake Hager being the
I get
opponent.
it. He
It's like,
hasn't really been shown on TV, and he's getting an opportunity. It's fine, honestly. I mean, it's
but
somebody that you
yeah,
can.
like here's the thing too is like as a champion, every now and then you'll get like a bad match or like a bad, a challenger that doesn't really make a lot of sense. But at the same time, it's like
Jake
I look at
Hager,
it this
even
way
though
too.
he doesn't compete on TV every now and then, can still go out there and freaking put on a decent
Well, yeah,
match.
but like what I'm getting at too is like during Wardlow's first reign as TNT champion, that was pretty much his whole reign. He was just thrown. They would just throw together opponents for him and be like, "Hey, you're putting the TNT title on the line."
Right.
What? So, but this, like, I can, I this, excuse me, this match can be overlooked because ultimately this third reign of Wardlow as TNT champion has ultimately, for the most part, been a lot better than his first two reigns. I mean, he had a ladder match against Christian at Double or Nothing, for God's sakes.
Right.
Like, you can't get any bigger than that, especially in a match for the TNT title, you know?
True.
So,
So I mean, I think he's gonna retain, but honestly, I wouldn't be
oh,
shocked
I
if
didn't realize.
Luchasaurus would get um involved in this match. It'd be kind of hilarious if Luchasaurus interferes and somehow Jake Hager wins the title. That I could see. I know we talk a lot of shit about the TNT title, but just knowing the luck of it, it wouldn't shock me. Um,
I mean, at that point, then I would really feel like,
but
man,
I
maybe I
don't think
shouldn't
it's gonna
keep going.
happen. I think he's gonna try to interfere, but I see it. Wardlow still
I was
retaining
gonna say
against.
if that's the case, that Luchasaurus interferes and we ultimately see a title change, then I will truly look at the TNT title and be like, they have devalued the hell out of that title. But let's uh let's hope Tony Khan actually has uh, some amount of sanity
Yeah, right.
to keep the title on Wardlow.
Um, I mean, I know it hasn't been announced, but it wouldn't shock me if Tony Khan ends up being on Dynamite later tonight and announcing more matches for Collision, because that's kind of
I would hope
he
that's the plan.
the fans have been like stating, oh, well, he's on like a 12 week streak of being on Dynamite. Oh, what the hell ever, honestly.
Okay.
It's better to show him
I mean, I
on
look at it this
screen
way
talking
too.
about it than going
Yeah.
having him go out there literally cutting into. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess he's cutting into TV time too, but you know what?
Well,
He
it's
has every right
funny.
to announce
Yeah.
and promote the new show
It's
and
funny you
everything like that.
mention that though because he's like gone on a podcast before and said like, "Oh, I don't want to cut into people. I don't want to cut in like I don't intentionally want to like cut into TV time or whatever." Meanwhile, he's out here like not constantly, but
And it's all right because there'll be 2 hours on Wednesday and 2 hours on Saturday. That
but
I'll have
no.
enough
So what I
time.
was gonna get at though is like Tony Khan's coming out before every Dynamite, hyping up the fans for the show. Like, have you not been to an AEW
And I
event?
don't know if people have been paying attention, but some wrestlers have been wearing the colors of Collision too to promote it. Even just recently with Anna JAS and um, uh, Daddy Magic's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was also wearing Matt Menard's
Yeah,
was wearing the colors of Collision too. So
but were
they're
his nipples hard?
I don't think good of them. So we
That's
got to
that's
our
the
next.
important question. I'm asking the important questions here. Were Daddy Magic's nipples hard?
Yes.
Because if his nipples weren't hard, then it doesn't matter.
They claim the Daddy Ass beat the Spanish Announce Project, which is the team of Angelico, um,
Serpentico,
Serpentico, and
isn't it Luther?
Luther.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So this one's an interesting one. I thought it was just going
I
to be
did
a
not
mixed.
realize
I thought
that.
it was going to be
I was
just a
gonna say
mixed
I
tag
did
team.
not
No, it's
realize
going to
that
be a
Papa
mixed.
Briscoe is getting
Yeah,
involved.
it's going to be a mixed trios match. Mark Briscoe, Daddy Briscoe, and
Papa
Aubrey
Briscoe,
Edwards will face
not
off
Daddy
against,
Briscoe, Papa
yeah,
Briscoe.
Papa Briscoe and Aubrey Edwards will face off against Jeff Jarrett, Karen Jarrett, and Jay Lethal. Um, I don't
Do
know
we have
exactly.
a like set date
I don't
for
think
when
so.
this match is gonna
It
happen?
hasn't been announced yet, but I would assume it's going to be happening sooner than later, probably after Forbidden Door.
Hmm.
Um, Personally, I cool. I guess
Okay,
I don't
that
know. It seems odd of what kind of match is actually going to be, who's going to sanction it, what kind of.
yeah,
But
that's
I
an
just would love to
interesting
see
one.
Aubrey Edwards beating the living crap out of Karen Jarrett. I just like we need to
I
see
was
that
gonna say,
happen.
like somebody mentioned it on one of the social media like platforms that we shouldn't expect Karen Jarrett and Aubrey Edwards to have like a lot of ring time or
Right?
whatever,
Yeah, because
but
they're not
it's
wrestlers.
probably going to be like one of the final things that happens in said match. So, and
Like we,
especially same thing with Papa Briscoe because like technically he's not a wrestler.
right?
Technically, even though he has actually had a match before, because there was uh, there was a time in Ring of Honor where I think it was like a mixed 8-person tag match where it was the whole Briscoe family against like another team of 4 people, and so yeah, it was both the Briscoe brothers, Papa Briscoe and Mama Briscoe.
Hmm,
I'm pretty sure against like so. In that sense, like he has some in ring experience, but again, like I said, he's not. He's technically not a wrestler. So
right. Yeah. So
I
we
did
get
not
on
realize she was part of that match.
what?
Mercedes.
Yeah. Well, Mercedes Martinez. The real reason why we haven't seen her is because she was on the shelf with an injury. She just recently
Oh,
came back from
okay.
injury, is what they stated on Rampage. So yeah, Sky
But
Blue faces off.
still, it was kind of interesting to like know to see her on Rampage, but even more interestingly to see her back on Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Sky Blue faces off against Britt Baker, Mercedes Martinez, and Nyla Rose. You thought
Nyla
maybe
Rose always has to get involved in the championship
I know,
scene in like
and you
some.
thought maybe there would have been a small chance that it would have been Britt Baker only because of everything that's been going on with the Outcast and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter and everything like that. And I thought maybe some deep in my mind like that would have made a little bit too much sense with everything, but no, we get
Hmm,
a big shocker here, which I was not expecting. Sky Blue
yeah.
wins the Fatal 4-Way to become the new number one contender for the AEW Women's World Championship later tonight. She will take on Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. Um,
You talk about being a transitional champion for Thunder Rosa. Nah, man. How about she becomes a transitional champion for Sky Blue?
that's not going to happen. I don't see her. I don't see Sky. I mean, I'm grateful that Sky Blue is getting this opportunity, but I just do not see her dethroning Toni Storm here. I really
Never
do
say
not.
never, though.
True, because said same thing could have been said about Saraya on her first night. Her first opportunity at the World Heavyweight Champion or Women's World Championship. I mean, shit. Her first day, she beat AJ Lee. When she was still the NXT champion to become the Divas
Oh yeah,
champion.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, but
who knows what could happen, honestly.
here's the thing about that.
But no offense, I get it. She was the youngest
Yeah.
challenger in the ring. She was also somebody that never held the women's world championship before. Even a Mercedes Martinez technically hasn't either, but she did
She held the Ring
held a
of
Ring of
Honor.
Honor.
So
Um,
she's been a world champion.
but I think it would have been better to probably give it to somebody that would have had the had experience before, and then you give it to Sky Blue, and I think it would just derail all the momentum that she's had on her side as of late if you have her lose to Tony Storm. But ultimately, there's also the TBS Championship too, and I hate to say it, I don't think I could see her beating Chris Statlander either. So,
Well, in that case, then if they're gonna do that, you can make the story for Sky Blue that she's like battled all this adversity in AEW and came up short, but then like let's say she earns a shot to challenge Athena at
mhm.
possibly Death Before Dishonor, and then ultimately she beats Athena and becomes your Ring of Honor Women's World
Right,
Champion.
because
Because
I would
honestly,
assume that she would still be the champion right now, Athena.
yeah, yeah, she's still the champion. At least, you know, at least as far as I know, I'm pretty sure she's still the champion.
All right, ladies and
But
gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of No Final Bell. Please make sure to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, I think Instagram and Twitter. Also, we are on YouTube and Facebook Watch. You want to follow that channel right over there, Tinkle Sports Entertainment on YouTube, and then also watch Out of Turn 4 and Sunday and this show, No Final Bell on Facebook Watch. Sunday Morning Tinkle is just on YouTube and also audio platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, any kind of podcast you can get hands on. I don't know if we still are or not. I know mostly YouTube for Sunday Morning Tinkle. Get those viewerships up, people. I don't know what you guys have against not watching Sunday Morning Tinkle. We talk about some good stuff. Brian and I don't bite. Um, we like to see you guys not just watching Out of Turn 4 and sending in No Final Ball, even though we appreciate you guys following that. We would also like you guys to follow what brought Tinkle Sports Entertainment together in the first place. With Sunday Morning Tinkle. Because as of late, the latest episode's got absolutely no views. We would like to see people getting behind and watching it, letting us know what you would like us to more talk about and stuff like that. Um, so we'd like to kind of get that back up and going again. As far I wanted to bring a little bit note. Stephon Diggs was not shown in mandatory minicamp, but apparently he was there to take his physical and been talking with the GM and the team on non-team related talks. I don't know what they're truly about, but I do say that he will be there with the team before the season starts. Um, Clearly, the team is not worried about Stephon Diggs. I'm not worried about Stephon Diggs as long as he's there for um, training camp and for the start of the season. That's all that matters. Yes, I get it's mandatory minicamp and you can get fined for not showing up and stuff like that, but I don't think the team's going to fine them, honestly. I think that they're going to have a way around. They're not going to, suspend their top receiver right now. Um, it's unfortunately just the way of sports right now. Too much drama, even so, with wrestling, and there can be a lot of drama with that too. Just it happens in every sport, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, thank you for watching as always. We'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.